So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to expose to you the truth of how women will stay single even if they're in a relationship. Okay, and what that means is none of them are actually taken. What that means is all of them are looking for the bigger, badder option. Okay, and not only that, what you have to understand is these problems that I'm about to address are only going to get fucking worse. That means in 2023, if you think it's bad now and you want to turn a blind eye and neglect this, you're going to be in for a very rude awakening. And you're going to be in for a rude awakening because throughout 2024, 2025, 2026, through the next 10 years, okay, as social media becomes more and more popular, as women are more addicted to their phones and comparing themselves to every girl on Instagram with a fat ass now more than ever before, you're going to have to know the truth, okay? Which means if you're a guy who doesn't have a lot of dating experience, okay, you need to make sure you absorb content like this before you actually step out into the field, or you're going to get your ass handed to you because most guys don't have a lot of experience. Now, despite this, despite the world, okay, that is going to get very worse, like far worse when it comes to the dating game over the next 5 to 10 years, okay? There's good news for you. The good news for you is that you have access to the information that I'm giving you on camera here. The bad news for the 99% of the masses, and I genuinely fucking mean that. Every time I make that comparison, it's not to polarize, to be like, oh, you're part of the 1%, you're super cool. No, like I'm dead serious. 99% of guys, if you lined up 99% of guys in a row and you said, do you understand masculinity concepts and female dynamics and how to date, most of the guys would have no clue. So truly, most guys don't consume stuff like this. So you do have an advantage because 99% of guys over the next 5 to 10 years are 100% going to continue to put more and more women on the pedestal, continue to devalue themselves more than ever before, and consistently feel as if they're lower value and basically losers and will do anything for the attention or the approval of any fucking woman just to even have a girl talk to them. Okay, this is not healthy, but I need to show you how women stay single. Obviously, all of you know that girls have social media, okay? Here's the thing that not a lot of people on the internet tell you. The one man, okay, that wins over a woman's heart, okay, the guy that she is constantly craving day after day, okay, or the one that got away, or the guy who she's sizing up on social media, or the guy who she's wondering if this is a bigger, better option than her current boyfriend, okay? The one man who typically will make the biggest, not only imprint on a woman, but psychological impact to the point that she's comparing how this man behaves to all of the other men. It's not height, okay? You need to know this. You need to know this. It's not height. It's not income. It's not even masculine frame. What it is it's who fucked them the hardest and the best in bed. You need to take a second and just let that sink in, okay? The guy who was their sexual best in bed is typically their level or their standard, okay, of what they think that they need to have 24/7. And here's what I mean by that. You will typically have that guy who, let's say, rocked their world in bed, or you will typically have that guy who was the best sex that she ever had, okay? That man, a few things will typically happen. Number one, okay, the relationship will fizzle out typically like usual. Maybe he will start to go soft or love her, okay, or regardless, as he starts to go a little bit weaker and softer, she loses respect for him, therefore she'll leave. That's a first option. The second option is he will have multiple women and she can't take it, therefore will cause turmoil, okay, or it will dissolve. Or three, he'll typically leave her, okay? Those are the three things that happen, okay? This guy, okay, is still in her phone. This guy is still following her and she's following him on social media, okay? Now, when you multiply all of the levers that you look for, and all of the levers would be all of the inputs and outputs, availability for messages. I'm talking Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, Snapchat, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, okay? And then Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram. You would be amazed how many women will actually hide their messages too in different apps in different areas. And the other guy, who's either potentially sleeping with her or has slept with her in the past, knows where to contact her and will oftentimes be able to still sleep with her and have access to her even if she is in a relationship with you or with anybody else, okay? You have to know these things. They will hide these sorts of messages. The reason why I'm exposing this is because all women, okay, and I mean all of them, have a certain level of impact by a specific guy that they're comparing all of the rest to. And the way that they stay single, even while in relationships, is using apps like this and is using their social media leverage to gain the attention and the approval, not just for somebody they have slept with in the past that could potentially rekindle, but what I'm telling you is with women, a big thing that they love is imagery and imagination. When I say imagery and imagination, when they see a guy on social media, okay, maybe there's something about him, and I don't care what the avatar or what the archetype is. I don't care if he's the rock star, the rapper, the bodybuilder, the playboy, the fucking cowboy, whatever it is, there's some masculine archetype that he has. The billionaire, the guy on the jet, doesn't matter. Maybe even the guy in the robe with a light stick by. I'm just kidding. Fuck all you. What she's going to be doing is she's going to use imagery and she's going to use imagination to think what he might be like. Okay, that one bit of imagery and imagination of painting a picture in a woman's brain that can create some sort of artificial desire without her even meeting you is one of the strongest levers to attraction because it creates the what if factor. Okay, those of you who've seen other videos with me where I talk about the what if factor with women, it's extremely powerful. They start to imagine what he might be like, how he might sound. Okay, what they'll even do is they'll even imagine if they were in bed together, what are some of the things he'd be saying to her? Okay, how's he going to make her feel? You have to understand the truth as to how women behave, okay? And you have to be able to see the truth of how they stay single even if they date a guy. Now, there's two bigger points to this on the grand scheme of things. So stick with me because the rest of the shit is fucking important, okay? The next thing you have to understand is for those of you sitting there right now scratching your head and you're sitting there going, well, why would she even date in the first place then if she constantly wants the bigger and badder deal? Why would she even have a boyfriend? Why would she even put a guy through that? Strictly for one reason. She is lonely, just like you're lonely. Okay? Let that sink in. 99% of guys sitting on the internet looking at this content, 99% of guys looking at any self-improvement content, 99% of guys trying to figure out any ways to make money, 99% of guys figuring out any ways to improve their frame, improve who they are lonely, don't have any options, and are figuring out how to acquire those options. I'm going to let you in on a little news flash. Women are the exact same way, and the reason being is because the options that she has, most of the time, since the guy doesn't demonstrate any value, she doesn't want 99% of them. Women are naturally biologically hardwired to be much more choosy, okay? And women don't like most guys. So I know that you might be sitting there thinking, well, at least she has somebody. Oh, at least she has somebody, like at least there's people in her inbox. It doesn't matter. She doesn't want them. You're not going to change that either. That's their nature, that she doesn't want any of those guys. So she gets into relationships for the emotional security. She gets into relationships to have somebody to talk to lay with at night. You would be amazed how many men will lay with a woman in bed, okay, and watch her phone buzz and go off with notification from man after man after man after man after man, okay? They do this and they get into these relationships because they're lonely and because they still want somebody just to be there, just to give them attention, just to validate them. When they're having a hard day, okay, somebody to lay with, to take the stress off of life. Not only that, they want somebody to potentially build a future with that will give some sort of emotional stability. Not emotional stability, financial stability. This shit is very much for them. When they get into a relationship and commit to a specific guy, it is for them, which is why for you to completely close off your options, okay, for some promiscuous chick online, okay, who oftentimes parades around and acts like a bimbo, okay, when every selfie is with her duck lips and her ass sticking out, I have to scratch my head and ask myself, what the fuck are any of these guys doing? But then I remember just how few options men have, which leads me to believe one thing. Okay, the world as we see it, the world in general, right now the world, okay, how men operate, how women see men, the world is very, very, very uncomfortable. At the root of male nature, when you get right down into it, the world is very, very uncomfortable when you look it dead in the eyes and you realize just how much control men want. I'm going to let that sink in. Just how much control men want. Every man wants control within their relationship. And the reason why he wants control, meaning, yes, that you can have that app, and I like, you should have that, you shouldn't have that. Okay? I'm setting the rules, I'm setting the frame for the relationship. The reason why deep down every single man wants control is because he knows damn well he has to have it or shit's gonna go south real quick. In a relationship, a woman is not able to set the frame and the boundaries for healthy relationships to have happen, and the reason being is because that is 100% the man's hardwired duty. However, since men have been convinced through downplayed terms that make them feel less than. For example, if you want to exercise any amount of control or stability or rules or frame within your relationship, such as if you are going to date me, you will not have male friends, or if you're going to date me, you will not have Snapchat with all of these guys talking to you, or if you're going to date me, these are the expectations that I have. The reason why men are so afraid to do that is because there's been propaganda around that labeled it as insecurity. So what the world knows is the world knows that the biggest way to get at a man is you sit and you chip at his ego. And if you can chip at his ego, you can start to make him question himself and lower his self-confidence. Fuck all that. You have to be able to spot this shit. Every single time the world wants to label you with something, a label created, oh, you're an asshole. Oh, you're fucking insecure. Oh, you're too controlling. Oh, were you raised that way? Every single time they try to get you to do that, fuck all of that. Because you need to know, you need to have stronger self-assurance within yourself that says, look, I am not afraid to follow my intuition because I know what's right. And I know that the more shit that I put up with, the worse my relationship and every relationship is going to be, for that matter, because the woman does not want to have to set the frame and the expectation. A woman wants to be led. If you know that and you accept that truth, it is now your duty to operate life on your own fucking terms. Now, that does not mean in any way, shape, or form to be evil and manipulative. There's some women who are not going to want to get on that agenda. Fuck it. Okay? Because just like how a woman will reject you for not being masculine enough, the beautiful thing is you can look at her and say, well, that's great because the relationship is dissolved because you're not, like, she's not what you're wanting. The key is to have an actual standard. So when she doesn't meet that femininity standard, if she doesn't want to follow the lead of a man, if she doesn't want to get on board with his plan, if she doesn't want to follow the rules, and yes, I am going to call it the rules of the relationship because somebody has to fucking set them, and it sure as hell isn't going to be her. She ain't going to do it, so who's going to do it? What's the expectation for how we both have to act? There isn't one. Okay? You're now able to say, well, okay, cool. You're not what I'm looking for, so I'm going to find a woman who's more feminine who's going to get on board with my plan. Here's when the rules start to change. You need to stick with me on this video because this is important. The rules start to change, okay? The world demonizes and scrutinizes men for being controlling, or they scrutinize men for wanting to have a standard and an expectation for how their female is supposed to behave. The world wants to make you feel like you're a bad man for doing that until one thing happens. Can you guess what that thing is? The one thing that changes all of this shit is when you become successful. Okay? When you become successful and you become somebody, and I'm not even going to say successful, I'm literally going to say when you become attractive. Okay? When you look like a masculine man, when you have muscle, when you have low body fat, when you look like the type of guy who can fight, who can protect, who can defend, who doesn't put up with shit, who also has resources, who has options, when you can finally be the man who look like how you're acting is congruent with who you look and how you look and who you are. All three of those things have to be in an alignment. How you look, okay, who you are, and what you say you are. When all three of those things are in alignment and you actually become a man, now all of a sudden the tables change. And now all of a sudden when you exercise that control, it's sexy. Now when you exercise that control, it's dominant. Okay? Before it was insecure. Before it was you're a loser. Before it was, oh, look at you trying to be somebody. Until you actually become that man, and now you start to exercise these things, well, now all of a sudden it's he's hot. Well, now all of a sudden it's, yeah, I want to get on board with that. Yeah, I'm ready and I'm willing to follow the lead of him. All of these things completely go out the window. So you might be sitting there wondering, well, how the hell does this have anything to do with how women stay single in relationships? The reason why they do it and how it relates to it is because all of them are looking for that one specific man. If you look at the movie 50 Shades of Grey, this right here is the exact reason why it was every single woman's fantasy. Okay? Let this sink in for just a second. In the movie, okay, you had a man who completely fucked the shit out of her. You had a man who completely did whatever he wanted. You had a man who set every guideline, frame, and boundary, how the communication would happen. He set the frame for when the conversations would happen, how other women would be introduced into the picture. And she had a gravitational pull. She had a pull sexually and emotionally towards him that was far stronger than any other man. Now, at what point did women flip the switch and go from that's insecure and he's controlling to that's super hot and I wish a man would fuck the shit out of me like that? At what point did that happen? Take a look. The point only happened when he was fit, he was lean, he was a billionaire, and he had things going for himself, and his business was the main priority factor in how he lived life. So for those of you out there where you're saying, you know, the world shouldn't be this way, or women shouldn't act this way, or I should be able to be a loving guy or a caring guy and she should just like me for me. Great. You might think that way, but in practicality, that's not what they're attracted to. So if you can see live and in the flesh, in your own eyes, what the fuck they're attracted to, I believe it's your job to not be such a dumbass and actually follow it. Follow it and understand it to some degree so that way you can get ahead in the dating game instead of be at the disadvantage. Because right now 99% of guys are at the disadvantage because they're so stupid and so stubborn in their ways of how they think things should be, when in actuality, like, the world doesn't lie. Okay? Attraction doesn't lie. What she's attracted to isn't a choice between yes or no. What she's attracted to, like dude, you're not going to be able to necessarily control what you feel arousing and what you get a boner from, okay, when you have a specific woman in front of you. It's the same goes for women. So no matter what you were sold, no matter what bag of beliefs you were sold, no matter what bullshit and what propaganda you were sold that made you believe attraction and romantics and arousal and desire should be a specific way, in real life it isn't. Which means once you start to see this, okay, the whole point of life is to survive and replicate. If you're surviving but you're not able to replicate, and all of your other ancestors were before you, all of your other, like whoever lived before you in your family bloodline and tree was able to, and you're not, you have to actually look at that and say, what do I have to do to improve? What do I have to do to get to the next step? What do I have to do to scrap my old identity that's not serving me? Replace that old identity with a real identity that's more congruent to who I want to be and grow as an individual, okay? This is how women stay single in relationships, is they keep their options open until that specific guy will stick with them, or until that specific guy potentially matches up down the road to the one man that they wanted and to the one man that screwed them the best and the hardest in bed, that made them feel most feminine. That's the actual fact. That's what most guys are not telling you. And this is why it's your job to get ahead. Now, what I did, okay, to help you get ahead. And I understand I'm putting a link. I understand I'm plugging something. I understand, yes, I am trying to go down below and get you to watch a presentation. I created the MBT webinar. And the reason being is because over the past couple of years, I stuffed 3,000 guys into a specific mentorship and it completely changed their life. I want you to think about just how many people that is for a second. Like, if you compare like my audience size to the amount of people like, or like all of them, between all social media and all of the stuff that I've ran and the people, like the amount of people who know of my stuff compared to, that means like 1% plus, a little over 1% of people is in my product. That's really high. And it's really high because when I've had testimonials of guys who've implemented the way I have thought and I've behaved my entire life, and then went on to get the girlfriend of their dreams, or then went on to have a rotation of women for once instead of being at the disadvantage and being left for the playboy. Or when I've seen guys actually use this to go on and get married in the real world and start a family, despite every other influencer telling them that marriage is a crock. You have to understand the level of belief that that makes me build in my own shit. So if I think my shit's good, and if I think it's worth showing, There's absolutely no reason why I wouldn't put it. So for those of you who comment and you're like, oh, you're watching these videos and then you want us to watch something. Yeah, I do. Because if it's for you, okay, if you calculate all of the other stuff that most men spend money on between video games, OnlyFans, all this bullshit, most of the stuff people spend their money on in general doesn't serve them to begin with. So when I watch guys copy these strategies into their life and actually get ahead or level up and get the dating life of their dreams or start to level up and become the man they want to be and level up financially, that's the biggest ROIs within yourself, and that's what women look for. And when I created MBT, it was so you can understand the key masculine behavioral techniques to win in 2023, 2024, and so on. And while the rest of the world burns, okay, well, the rest of the world goes down this path that will consistently put every single woman on the pedestal, and most guys will consistently think they're less than. At minimum, at least you're going to have a leg up, and that truly is what's important. So you need to know this. I've shown you exactly how women stay single even while they're in relationships. I've even shown you how there is certain propaganda to let you believe that your own male nature is wrong, okay, and that it's incongruent and that it makes you stupid or that it makes you insecure, and that is completely false. And I've shown you how to even spot the bullshit, which means now you take this information and you go out and you apply it into the real world. You actually use it to get ahead. You turn off YouTube now, and now you go and you work and you do the things you have to do as a man, because a man's life is hard and it's supposed to be. And in life, you are rewarded for the effort that you put in. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.